Sing for me, little bird. Sing for me. Welcome back. Today I painted Sansa Stark, and I found it a really quick and actually quite fun process. I know I say that every time, but this time it was really enjoyable. It was. So first off, we start by applying a base coat to everything, and we just do that by putting down those darker tones. I just want to point out here, if you want to kind of take advantage of that zenithal highlight or just that lighter white, it is actually a good idea to maybe have a thinner base coat and use more of a mid-tone, because that will allow you to create a very nice flow of highlights, and it'll just make the process a lot faster. But if you want to do it more like manually, then you can kind of continue doing it the way I'm showing here. Then when we're painting the fur, it's actually a very simple process. So I began by base coating it with kind of like a nice brown. I blended up using a few like gray and red and yellow and just a basic brown tone. Then when you find that nice balance, what you do is you highlight it, and just after you apply that base coat, you come in like I'm doing now, and you just paint over with that brighter tone. And what that does is it blends together very smoothly, and that just creates a very nice subtle transition. The next step after that is to apply a wash, and that'll just kind of allow the definition of the fur to pop. And you can take a brush and just suck the ink off the higher layers, the more exposed layers, if you don't want to reduce the brightness as much. Then I go with a brush, and I move perpendicular to the cloak, and that allows me to pick out the detail, and that will allow me to create kind of a nice highlight on that fur texture. Then finally, we're gonna apply another wash just to kind of bring it all together. And just with these few simple steps, you can get a really nice cloak effect. Next comes the cloak, and though I'm starting with brown, I decided I wanted to go for a nice vibrant green color, because I think that's what Sansa would prefer, not something as dull. And also, I was kind of inspired by the fact that all these historical YouTubers are saying like the nobility didn't just wear brown, and everyone in medieval times didn't wear grays. And I think it makes it a lot more fun, because if all you do is just paint browns and drab tones, then really it's gonna look kind of miserable. Now we're going on to the dress, and I'm just rebase coating it with that brighter green color. And to summarize the process, it's essentially just finding those highlight areas. You can pick out different sections. I just kind of like the idea of picking out those certain highlights and building up that color with like a bright yellow and white, and then using kind of like a darker green, and you could use that just mixing in black, and then kind of blend those areas in together. And then the process just becomes kind of picking out those areas and then working them until you find a nice balance of highlight and shadow and midtone, and that will be your entire cloak there. And then there's like a secondary inner cloak that's not her dress, but beneath her fur cloak. And so I just wanted to do kind of like a dark green, and I added a little blue to it just to kind of shift the tone, but still keep it green, just like to make it a little more interesting, so it doesn't match the shadows as much. And then I just highlighted with a little bit of a like a medium green, and just glaze that over just to bring that definition out. Then we come to the process of the hair and the face and skin. And it's not just the face this time. You actually have um, the upper chest, and kind of her upper back is exposed, which means we have a little more skin to work with. And so the process is very similar to before, just building up those colors with those nice flesh tones, whatever you prefer to use. I prefer Bugman's Glow and Cadian Flesh Tone, and then just working that up further with white. Now for the hair, it's essentially um, kind of having a darker brown tone, and just building that up with a lighter and lighter tones, and making sure to wash it down to get the definition, and also to make the highlights not as stark. And then you'll be able to get that nice kind of hair color. But if you want to, you can extend it further by mixing in more yellow to the brown, and kind of bringing up that brightness. I kind of want to keep her hair a little bit darker, but you could add a little more highlights to it if you'd prefer. Now for the eyes, I actually modified my process slightly. I decided Bugman's Glow would be a good idea just to outline that area. So essentially, I'm painting it over the kind of where the eye is inlaid. Then I'm painting the white into where the actual exposed eyeball would go, and then I'm painting in the pupil after that. And so essentially, instead of having a very dark outline or no outline, you have kind of a natural fleshy color because you do have that redness where the eyelid and the skin is very thin, and you know, the tissue is a little more exposed. And so the short of it is essentially a Bugman's Glow, then the kind of off-white tone, and then the kind of darker tone, darker color to dot the pupil. And that is what I used to kind of make the eye work this time. Then we have the pins holding her dress up, and so I decided just to do a quick blend where you have on the top edge a highlight and the bottom edge kind of a darker section, and then I just kind of worked back and forth until I found a nice gradient from light to dark. Well, that about wraps it up. I hope you guys enjoyed. I certainly did. We just used a few simple techniques in this video to bring out some interesting colors, and I'm hoping to do the same with future characters, and we'll just keep going from there. So have a great day, and see you for the next one.